People who take massive war crime level dumps in public bathrooms, but don't flush. Why? I did this once, because I had no choice. I had to be somewhere early for work that was 1.5 hours away. So I'm driving this whole time, before sunrise, drinking coffee, a little nervous for this work thing, and now I have to shoot bad. I find a random Denny's and run straight to the bathroom. There's only one stall. I lock the door and turn to find someone clogged the entire bowl with paper and ass gaskets. I proceed to push out this ridiculous soft-serve mountain on top of the soggy paper platform, like a McDonald's ice cream cone, but shoot, the entire pile is above water. I had to hover and wipe just to avoid touching it. I had no choice but to top it off with a blanket of shooty paper. By the time I'm done, the summit is a good 3 inches above sea level. I could push that flusher 100 times and the whole structure wouldn't budge. Absolutely shameful. If anyone here is a Denny's employee in Northridge, CA that had to deal with this, I'm sorry. I would love it if another comment tells their side of this completely separate from yours. Imagine if a worker saw the first shoot, left to go get into their hazmat suit, and came back to see the shoot had tripled in size. Used to work in a small office with 2 separate bathrooms, one on either side of our office space. Each was a tiny room with a toilet and a sink. There was a guy who, without fail, about an hour or 2 after lunch, would decimate one crime scene level mess, with the odor as well. And that odor would waft outward to the nearest cubicle residents, who complained daily. He never flushed, and his excuse was that he'd read how toilets create an aerosol effect when they're flushed, which sends a cloud of mist into the air, and he refused to endure that, because who knows who else used the toilet, which meant someone else got the honor of being sprayed with his leavings. Boss told him he had 2 choices: flush and spray Lysol generously, which truly does little to abate the stench, or use the facility somewhere else. I'm sorry to say he chose to go to the nearest fast food place instead. To those valiant McDonald's employees, I'm so sorry. You did not deserve that. As a janitor, I'd like to know the answer to this as well. Also, why poop in the urinal? Shooter was full. Merry Christmas. Sometimes there's shoot on the outside of the toilet. For me, I get confused when there's no paper, and no way in hell they had a Gostin. You don't know it's a Ghosty without paper. They flushed once, the paper washed down, but the log didn't. Yep, there's a certain consistency of floater that will just unravel itself from all the toilet paper and hang around for infinite flushes. I have lived with one of those people. Said person would wipe, close the lid and flush. If they were in a hurry, they would both reopening the lid to check, unravel itself from all the toilet paper. Just imagining someone wrapping it up like a mummy or a Subway. You don't catch each turd carefully in the palm of your hand and then lovingly wrap it up for its journey. Weird. Maybe they wash their ass off in the sink? I believe it's called the fight or flight response. Lord knows I booked it out of there. Did you flush? He asked, realizing he might not like the answer. Well, he booked it. Hat spinning in midair style and everything. You think he thought to make a flushy? Armchair anthropologist here with a real theory. For homeless people, public restrooms are the only restrooms. Now, not that all homeless are junkies, but for sure there are homeless opioid users. Also, it is a symptom of opioid abuse that you can't shoot, but when you do, you birth a behemoth worthy of legend. So you drop a legit log that won't even flush by its sheer length and girth, and you're homeless and high on opioids. Do you have the courtesy to break that guy up and send him on his journey? Nah, probably not. You got better shoot to do. Maybe the homeless opioid addict wasn't being rude, but forgot his travel poop knife at home. Oh wait, no, he is homeless, so would definitely have his poop knife on his person. Must just be a pride thing. Hate to drop an impressive behemoth and not have anyone else appreciate it. Us lucky folks with homes and smart devices can just snap a pic and text it to all of our friends, but his only option is to leave it and let it slowly dissolve. What if it's so large it doesn't flush? Poop knife. Quick military story. I used to be a missile officer in the Air Force, a couple hundred times, 392 to be exact, in the mid-2000s. I went out to remote sites and commanded nuclear missiles, etc. Anyway, those remote sites had underground capsules replete with toilets. Some of those toilets didn't work too well on the solids, so some of my compatriots developed a poop knife that is a butter knife stolen from the site's kitchen, taped to a plunger handle. We used the poop knife for months, maybe years, can't remember exactly, but it cut a lot of shoot down to size. Unfortunately, towards the end of my career going to those sites, That frickin' gross knife disappeared and it was theorized that it went back into kitchen rotation. If I had to guess, it was a departing officer's way of saying frick you to some pretty frustrating, stressful duty. Everybody was wary of every butter knife for months. Nuclear poop knife. Nice. Nice. Just to be safe, I'm never using a butter knife ever again. Can't flush it if it's on the floor now, can I? Fair play. My dude really said check and mate. No, he really said can't flush it if it's on the floor now, can I? Curd your Bing bathroom floor. Well, I mean you could get a hose. But it's gonna get a whole lot worse before it gets better. Well, having had the office by the bathrooms, I can probably tell you. Mostly they just don't know that it didn't go down. Epic filled bowls take more than one flush and some people's mothers didn't raise them to check their flush. They just get up, hit the lever, hopefully wet their hands, and leave. Other people clog the toilet. In my case, we had a plunger, but many bathrooms just don't for some ungodly reason. And even in our case, many people just leave because they don't know how, don't want to deal with a clogged toilet. Again, I blame bad parenting. Probably just didn't get enough hugs as a child. Oh, and there were a few people that put freaking paper towel in the toilet. Those are the cat stranglers. You really have to watch out for them. I only recently discovered our toilets at work are this way. In my defense, apparently the pipes are fricked up and it's a delayed reaction. I only found out recently because I was the one of a couple people in the office, and I was having a pretty bad stomach day. I knew for a fact that no one had gone in between my trips, and yet there was my shame in all its glory. It had come back for revenge, or to say hello. I'm not sure. It was not ready to depart this world. It was unfinished business. I did my deed. I watched it flush. The water filled back up. It was clean. Then, I waited. Sure enough, it came slinking back out like a guilty dog after eating trash. I flushed twice for number 2 now. That seems to do the trick. Some people like to show off. If they wanted to show off, then they should have just put it in a Ziploc bag and passed it around the Arby's. The Waffle House seems like a more appropriate venue. Nah, at Waffle House you have to rip the entire toilet off the bathroom wall and carry it around to show your shoot off. Extra points if you take it out of the toilet and throw it at a family of 4. Big dong energy. Big poop energy? What about the people that have sticky poop where no matter how many times you flush it doesn't dislodge and you have to use another bowl? I imagine the dude doing the walk of shame to another stall to continue on his path of toilet destruction. Yeah. Unlike his poop, he doesn't stick around. His poop is more reliable than my father. Do those people just move after every time they use the bathroom? Why do you think they use public bathrooms? The bowl at home is full. Plugging it up would be worse. Let's let it soak for a while then try. I dealt with a clogged toilet by waiting 8 hours and flushing again because I was too lazy to plunge it. It worked, but my family was not so happy about it. I wonder why. Who wouldn't appreciate such a situation? Probably the most valid question I've come across on this page yet. Working in construction and seeing some of these toilets, I need to know. When my mom was a custodian, she once found a douche in the toilet that she literally had to cut into pieces with a knife in order to get it to flush. It was horrifying. Cut my deuce into pieces. This poop just won't contort. Pipe congestion. It's leaving. Thank frickin' God. I was almost heaving. Poop a roach. Poop knife. Forgot my poop knife. We've all been there. Sometimes the toilet doesn't flush. It's not like I can take it back out. I stopped at a GA rest stop and had to go. It could not wait. 6, 7 toilets were clogged with multiple chutes or had chute all over the seat. So I used the only toilet remaining to take a massive bin on a road trip eating fast food for 3 days shoot. It wasn't until I had wiped and stood up that I realized there was no way to flush it. The toilet had been broken the whole time. It was clear to me that my mountain of shame, piled some distance out of the water, would remain present for the next visitor. Embarrassed, I hastily washed my hands and left the scene of the crime, hoping nobody would notice. But as I turned the corner, I watched as someone entered from the other side, opened the stall I was just in, and shouted off freaking gross. I couldn't disagree, but I wasn't about to stick around to explain things. I hopped in my car and never looked back.
C'est la guerre.
Imagine all the people who stopped at that rest stop after you did, only to find that all 7 toilets were full of chute and unflushable. Oh, that pool janitor. War crime level. LOL. This is military grade stink we're talking about. Chute is serious. Quite literally in this case. I've only done this once. Basically, I had been on the road for work all day and stopped at a Chipotle to get some food in me. Naturally, I have to take a growler right after eating, so I go in the bathroom to blow it out. About 5 minutes and this kid starts banging on the door to use the bathroom while I'm trying to handle my business. I told him it was occupied, but this crotch fruit wouldn't give up. He had this high-pitched voice and was telling me to hurry up and just wouldn't leave me alone. I decide if he wants on as fast as possible, I could get him in about 3 seconds earlier if I don't flush, so I leave the war crime behind. When I walked out, I couldn't help but give him a smirk as he said finally. This was in the middle of Missouri and his dad probably looked like Seabase, so I was already halfway out the door when I heard the kid yell, "Are you serious?" Taught that little shoot a lesson. Little shoot couldn't handle the big shoot.